Hello, friends. It's time for us to begin our meeting. Welcome. My name is Dina Patuka-Schmidt, the class of 1984, and I am the clerk of the Westtown Alumni Association Board of Managers. This meeting serves as the Alum Association's annual business meeting, as well as a celebration of our second Virtual Alum Weekend. As we do with every significant gathering here at Westtown, let's begin with a moment of silent worship, please. Thank you. So, who would have thought that a year later we would still be unable to be together in person? On that note, we're really excited to announce that the annual meeting and Alums Weekend will be in person in May 2022. We are so tremendously grateful that we continue to find ways to connect with and support one another as a Westtown community. I hope you've been able to attend some of the virtual events this year. Here to explain a little bit about how this meeting will work is Dami Waldron, our Director of Alum Engagement.
My name is Dami Waldron, and I'm the Director of Alum Engagement here at Westtown. Welcome to the annual meeting, a long-anticipated tradition at Westtown. Dina speaks my mind, and I'm very excited to be in community with you all. As you know, we had to be virtual again next year, but that doesn't dampen the spirit. This evening's events will be webinar style, so feel free to use the chat to engage, give kudos, or put smiley faces in just to show your appreciation. Also, when your decade is called for the roll call, put additional kudos in the chat so that we know who's joining us and from where. Enjoy the evening, and I'm going to pass it back to Dina. Have a good night.
Thanks, Dami. And now for the business of our meeting. I ask that you approve several new members of our Alum Association Board of Managers for a 3-year term. They are Barry Hogenauer, class of 73, Lisa Esposito, class of 2004, and Nate Mullen, class of 2016. If you're interested in suggesting yourself or someone else as a nominee for the Alum Association Board of Managers, I encourage you to submit the recommendation at westtown.edu/WAA. Our board is engaged in rich and rewarding work across 5 committees. They are admissions, advisory, advancement, communications, and Quaker Life. If you approve of these alums for a term of 3 years, please type yes in the chat. Thank you all. I think that should just about qualify as a quorum. Now it's time for the roll call of the decades. When I call your decade, shout out your class year in the chat. I see some of you have already done that, and that's great, and keep doing it. So we're going to start with the class of 2020. Is there anyone from the class of 2020 out there? How about the classes from the 2010s? Okay, how about classes from the 2000s? Oh, there we go. All right. And how about the classes of the 1990s? Okay, so we're an older crowd tonight. How about from the classes of the 1980s? Oh, yeah, there we go. All right. How about the class of the 1970s? And let's hear it for anyone in the class of the 1960s. All right, is there anyone out there from the class of the 1950s in attendance? Yay! I feel like I'm silent cheering here all alone, but I know you guys are with me in spirit. Thank you. How about anyone from the class of the 1940s? And anyone from the 1930s? Thank you, everyone. I'd like to take a moment for all of us to acknowledge some very important and hardworking members of our community. Many are in attendance today. We would like to recognize our class connectors and our WA board members. So a virtual shout out to all of them. Also in attendance are members of our Board of Trustees. We want to thank you for everyone that could attend here today. And let's honor our faculty and staff at Westtown who've been working tirelessly and creatively to provide Westtown education to our students and families during this academic year. Would you please join me in a big virtual round of applause for the Westtown faculty and staff? Thanks. It's been an unusual year to say the least. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge 4 long tenured and celebrated members of the Westtown community who will be retiring this year. Patricia McPherson was at Westtown for 23 years in the upper school as an English teacher. Joyce Nagata was at Westtown for 15 years in the upper school as an art teacher. Jean Watson Smith was at Westtown for 18 years in the lower school as a wonderful art teacher. And Frank Anthony for 12 years of service as a groundsperson in facilities. Can we recognize these folks with a virtual round of applause? Thank you for your service. Lastly, can we just take a moment to recognize all alums working in healthcare, essential services, and critical efforts to help those in need during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. We'd also like to take time to recognize the caregivers, childcare providers, parents, and teachers whom without we could not have pushed forward during these really difficult times. Thank you all so much. Thank you, everyone. I am now pleased to introduce my colleague on the WA board, Aaliyah Riley, class of 2004, who will introduce our annual Young Alum Changemakers Award.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aaliyah Ridley, class of 04, and I am the clerk of the Alumni Association Board's Advancement Committee. This year, we are excited to start a new annual meeting tradition of honoring a young alum with the Young Alum Changemaker Awards. There are so many courageous, hardworking, and ethically driven young alums out in the world, and we are eager for this new opportunity to lift up and celebrate their incredible work and dedication. The criteria for the awards reads: the Young Alum Changemaker Awards will be given annually to a Westtown graduate of the last decade. Nominees will be considered by the WA board, and recipients will be selected on the basis of their demonstrated commitment to Westtown's mission, especially their dedication to the Quaker calling to seek out and honor that of God in all, and their leadership and stewardship of a better world. We had some tremendous nominees this year, and we are so excited by the response from our young alum community. I'm sure you will agree that the recipients this year are beyond deserving of recognition and are a wonderful reflection of all Changemaker Westonians out in the world. Our recipients will receive a gift that is unique to Westtown. They will also be featured in the upcoming issue of the Westonian and on a plaque in Main Hall near the Young Alum commencement photos so that our current students may be inspired by our Westonian Changemakers. With that, I would like to pass it over to Marissa Antonori, class of 2016, who will share a few words on why she nominated her classmate, Julia Fury Bastian, class of 2016, for the Young Alum Changemaker Award. Thank you, Marissa, and congratulations, Julia.
everyone. My name is Marissa Antonori, class of 2016. I am thrilled to present this year's second annual Young Alumni Changemaker Award to my classmate and lifelong friend, Julia Fury-Bastian. For those who don't know, Julia was involved in a life-threatening car accident in December of 2017. She was crossing the street on her college campus one night when an impaired driver struck her at full speed. Julia spent the rest of her sophomore year of college in the hospital, healing and rehabbing her sequelae of injuries. Despite the accident, Julia did not falter in her ability to find meaning through trauma. Rather than pursuing the traditional path of incarceration for the driver who hit her, Julia and her family fully committed themselves to the path of restorative justice. This concept that we learned about in Teacher Kevin's nonviolence and social justice class entailed making amends between the victim, offender, and greater affected community to repair the harm that was caused. Instead of seeking revenge and punishment, Julia chose compassion and forgiveness. In doing so, she truly embodies our Quaker values of honoring that of God in all. During the past 3.5 years, Julia and her family have attended numerous workshops and classes to put restorative justice into practice. More recently, Julia continues to be a leader and steward of Quaker values by sharing her story at schools, prisons, and communities. In doing so, Julia took a seemingly distant and impractical concept of restorative justice that you learn about in a classroom and transforms it into a relatable and tangible everyday practice. In addition, Julia and her mother, Diane, have detailed their journey through a blog entitled Meaning Through Trauma that they hope to publish in the near future. I urge you all to read along and bear witness to a true changemaker. Julia, you make revolutionizing modern-day criminal justice look easy. I am so honored to have been day student on dorm roommates with you and to have the privilege of knowing such an influential woman. Please join me in congratulating Julia Fury-Bastian.
I am honored to have been nominated and chosen for the Changemaker Award here at Westtown. Over the past few years, I've had the opportunity to take my experience and let it help me see and help others see a fairer form of justice. In December 2017, I was run over by an impaired driver on my college campus and not expected to live. Immediately after waking up from being in a coma, I was clear on what the most fair form of justice would look like for the driver. I have forgiven him and engaged with him in this more restorative form. It has been a long road to recovery that I have been traveling, but I have always known where I stand regarding justice. I understand that forgiveness and making amends with the people we hurt and who hurt us is the most healing way, even if it's not always the easiest way. I'm thankful for my Westtown roots because I believe it helped me to see that a more restorative form of justice was the best way forward. Forgiveness is something that everyone on some level will have to either do or ask for, even in just forgiving yourself. I think it is one of the ways that we have the most personal power. So I am also honored to be an example of this in my own story. My hope in all of this, in getting hurt, my recovery, and in receiving this honor, is to promote these ideals and increase the awareness of the choice that we all have in how we see our situation. Thank you.
What an incredible story. That it was so inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing. We will now view a performance from Harrison and Binnie Lee from the class of 2021. Thank you so much for that wonderful performance. Now I'd like to present to you all our head of school, Tori Judds.
Good evening or good morning, everybody, depending on where you are in the world right now. It is so good to be with you, even online. It's so exciting to hear Dina share with you the news that next year, as you've heard, we will reconvene these reunions and alum gatherings right here on this beloved campus. That day is coming, although I am so sorry that it has not quite arrived, and here we are in 2 dimensions once again. Friends, we continue to move through an extraordinary, historic time, some of the implications of which are only just now coming into focus. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to rage around the world. It continues to impact individuals and communities in a highly inequitable way, cleaving our world even more deeply by race and ethnicity, national origin, gender identity, and sexual orientation. In our school community, we have been fortunate and indeed privileged with the technology to deliver learning and community as well as technology can do, with resources to bring our students back to campus and keep our community masked up and spread out in spaces with good ventilation, and most importantly, in recent weeks, with access to vaccines, such that 94% of our employees reported having been vaccinated several weeks ago, and many students are participating in on-campus vaccination clinics this very spring. Thank you so much for your earlier applause on behalf of Westtown faculty and staff, who have been working incredibly, indescribably hard, heart and soul, to keep our students safe, supported, and engaged, to keep our program and our community vibrant, healthy, and meaningful throughout this time. It is deeply painful to know that COVID is right this minute delivering loss, upheaval, and deprivation to communities around the world, from India to Brazil to Costa Rica, just as it is painful to know that violence, extremism, and hatred have overtaken Israel and Palestine once again. Let us hold in the light friends nearby and around the globe who are suffering, even as we can be grateful to gather together in joyful community with relative peace and improved health in recent weeks in Westtown's corner of the world, right here. Friends, this is my 5th and final Alums Weekend at Westtown. In a few weeks, after I have had the honor of presenting diplomas to Westtown's great class of 2021 and seeing them join your ranks as alumni, alumni, and alumnex, I too will graduate from our school, and I will turn over the headship to Chris Benbow, my good friend and excellent colleague from the great class of 1990. But until then, I am just terrible at goodbyes. My favorite kind of goodbye is what's known as the Irish goodbye. Now, I have no idea why fading quietly into the sunset, slipping silently out the back door, leaving without fuss or fanfare should be associated with the Irish. Perhaps it is my own Irish heritage that makes that idea appealing to me. For all I know, my great-grandparents left County Cork with my infant grandfather in 1888 without saying a word of farewell to their friends and neighbors. I do know, though, that before he died suddenly in Leeds, South Dakota, my great-grandfather wrote a lovely letter to his wife in Philadelphia, which has survived this century plus, and it is fitting to share reminiscences and reflections before parting. So I will take this opportunity to do just that. All of you alums, remember that on the eve of graduation, right before you marched into the Greenwood, something crystallized in your thinking about Westtown. Day-to-day details faded away, but you were left with indelible impressions about the school, its essence, key moments and images from your time here. For my part, in future, I will always think, when I think of Westtown, of things like going to sleep to the sound of owls and frogs and waking up to the sound of birds. I will think of walking to my office with my dog through the woods, especially when they're carpeted with snowdrops at the beginning of spring. I will think of looking up from my work right here, out that window, to the sights and sounds of children and teens moving up and down the granolithic between classes. I will think of sneaking up to the observatory every now and then, where you can see for miles, and watching people shuttling to and from cars outside of Central, or reclining in Adirondack chairs in the South Lawn. I will think of stolen moments out of a busy schedule when I can snatch some conversation with a student or a colleague, or better yet, when I could slide into the back of a classroom to hear lower schoolers learn about the rainforest, or middle schoolers discuss code switching or gerrymandering, or upper schoolers discuss representations of sexuality in the Bible, or Solon's economic reforms, or species diversity in the flora of our campus. I will think of the wonder of chance encounters, suddenly finding myself surrounded by a flock of little second graders in the Arboretum, or pausing for just a moment on the way into middle school to contribute one kick to a game of bench ball, or running into boarding students exploring the North Woods, or harvesting seeds at the mini farm. And I will always know that Westtown has a big, beautiful heart. That heart has beat powerfully during my time here and will continue to beat in my memory and long after I'm gone. The heart of Westtown School is capacious. It embraces bold aspirations to do with anti-racism and need-blind admissions. The heart of Westtown is strong, pursuing those aspirations doggedly, despite the pain of slow and incremental progress. It is a tough heart. It aches without breaking over the pain of racism and the pandemic. And the heart of Westtown is warm and joyful. It sings at moments like these reunions, the opening of school assembly every year, and graduations every spring. I will always envision the heart of the school beating in the meeting house, and as the pandemic wanes, rejoice in the knowledge that Meeting for Worship has returned to that beautiful building. In 4 years at Westtown, I have seen many beginnings and endings. I prefer the beginnings. Students moving on dorm with boxes and suitcases and shouts of laughter and murmurings of excitement. Opening nights of plays and season openers. New faculty orientation with new teachers to Westtown just beginning to get to know the community behind the values and visions that lit up their imagination when they accepted their job offers. As for the moments that seem like endings, breaking down the sets at the end of the winter musical, tributes composed and read to the 8th graders by their teachers, the last meeting for worship among seniors and their families with words of gratitude and hilarity. I have to remind myself these days that those apparent endings are really passages to something different, something new. Even after the seniors have played their last game, the senior athletes, they know that there will be another season for athletes to come next year, and that they themselves will soon be joining a new team or turning to different pursuits. Even our 5th graders know that their graduation from lower school is a passage. I'm remembering the wise words of one 5th grader seated on the facing bench in June of 2019, likening the curve of the meeting house ceiling to a wave that washes in a new group of lower schoolers, even as others are being swept into their next adventures. The future at Westtown unfolds every day, every year, with new generations of students taking the place of alums, and new administrators and teachers taking the place of those transitioning in their lives and careers. At this point, I have been thinking a lot about what we, all of you as graduates of the school and me, a soon-to-be former head of school, can do to serve that future, the future of Westtown, even though we're no longer immediate members of the on-campus community. For one thing, we can all remember and embrace that Westtown is a living, breathing, growing community. It has evolved over centuries now, and it will continue to evolve. All of the things that you and I hold dear about Westtown, Quaker education, the residential program, the campus, the curriculum, these things have great staying power and longevity, but they will continue to grow and to change. The school's understanding of our own mission evolves and expands over time. Next year and in years to come, in a future context that you and I can't even imagine yet, there will be new meaning and import to the idea of seeking out and honoring that of God in each other. As the days and years grow between the present moment and our time at Westtown, let's take care not to let our impressions of the school collapse into something out of date, out of context, or incomplete, but instead know and be joyful about the fact that there are dimensions to the current school experience that we can't see at a distance. To trust that the full multidimensionality of Westtown is best known to its present inhabitants, and rejoice in the fact that our school is that living, breathing, ever-evolving community. As alums and as a soon-to-be former head of school, I think we can also serve Westtown by understanding and appreciating the rigor and depth of the work that supports the school and its students. This year, you've heard a lot from me about our response to the novel challenge posed by the pandemic. And you have heard a lot about our responses to the decidedly un-novel challenge of white dominance, white privilege, and racism that are worked into the fabric of the school, our society and culture, and our individual and collective consciousnesses and unconsciousnesses. You've heard about our attempts to meet the ongoing and growing challenge of reversing environmental damage through stewardship, conservation, and reduction of our carbon footprint. All of this work and more will continue. And I say that with considerable envy, because although it is hard work and progress is often discouragingly slow, the work is good work being done by excellent people towards a better future. Westtown's heart beats for progress. Westonians have a commitment to progress in their DNA. The spirit of the school tends towards deepening, growth, betterment, a truer and truer fulfillment of our mission and values. I know in my own heart that while progress is incremental, it is pursued at Westtown avidly, with zeal, with integrity, and commitment to truth. 4 years ago, at the 2017 annual meeting, John Baird passed the baton to me, literally and figuratively. And now, I will pass that baton to Chris Benbow. With faith in his excellent character and that of the administrative team, staff, and faculty, with deep appreciation for the hard work they will roll up their sleeves to do, and complete confidence in the future of the school in their hands. Finally, we can serve the future of the school by living Westtown's values, by living with humility, a commitment to lifelong learning, and an openness to continuing revelation, by bringing true kindness and a commitment to peace to our actions and our interactions. The warmth and generosity of the Westtown alumni community has been a part of my experience at this school from the very beginning. From my first tour of campus with John Evans, class of 1973, to Jay Farrow, class of 1975, welcoming me when I first pulled up at Central to interview for my job, to Bob Batley, class of 1981, escorting me around reunion sites 4 years ago, to my very first KOB from Mary Ann Wagner, class of 1958. Many of you will remember the red phone, a gift from the WA board presented to me 4 years ago by Bob, then clerk Kevin Moore, class of 1979, and Carl Vella, class of 2003, with instructions that this phone would connect me to the alum community whenever I needed to reach you. Soon I will pass this phone along to Chris, and I'm sure he will use it often. But first, consider this me placing one last call to say thank you. Thank you, Westtown alums. Thank you for your love and care for Westtown. Thank you for your kindness to me over 4 years. Please know that the light and love of the Westtown alum community is a powerful thing. We have felt it most profoundly during the pandemic when so many of you reached out to the school in kindness with support and affirmation of all sorts, whether it be a gift of financial aid for students whose families were suffering, or a note to the head of school saying, hang in there, and tell our excellent faculty, way to go, and please thank our great staff for all of their hard work. Please know that in future, your trust in Westtown and the good work of its teachers, administrators, staff, and trustees is well-founded. Know that Westtown itself remains a place where the light shines brightly. The owls and frogs are still singing in the woods. The wise ministry of children is still shared in the meeting house. Change and inspiration is still provided by students and alums like Julia, and the uplifting of that of God in everybody is still the earnest work of every single day at our school. Thank you from my heart to yours, Westtown alums.
Thank you, Tori. Thanks for those beautiful words. On behalf of the WA board, we would like to thank Tori for her leadership and her innovation. In your short time, you've made a big impression on all of us. Thank you for your exceptional leadership and service to the Westtown community, especially through this ongoing pandemic. We wish you much success at the University of Chicago Lab School. You will be truly missed. The WA board would like to present you with this directional sign, if you can see it, so that you will always be able to find your way back to Westtown.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. I will follow it often.
And now, Martha Bryans, the class of 1968 and clerk of the Board of Trustees, has a special message for you, Tori.
Hello, friends. I'm Martha Bryans, class of 1968 and clerk of the Board of Trustees at Westtown. I would like to invite you all, alumni, students, parents, friends, faculty, and staff, to join me in thanking Tori Judds for her leadership over the past 4 years. This has been a consequential time for Westtown, and it required an agile, intelligent, dedicated, hardworking leader, and we had all of that and more in Tori. We thank Tori for this incredible service at a significant time in Westtown's history. We know that the things that Tori has learned at Westtown will go with her as she pursues new professional challenges in Chicago. And we know that Tori's many contributions to Westtown have strengthened the school and will remain with us in the years ahead. So Tori, good luck, best wishes, Godspeed, take care.
And thank you again, Tori. Our next musical performance features Cassie Hong, class of 2022, playing a piece on the piano. Enjoy. was impressive. Thank you, Casey. Friends, I am pleased to introduce this next special presentation and announcement honoring the memory of a beloved member of the class of 1956, Alan Statz, and his wife, Barbara Grimes Statz.
Hello, friends. It is a great pleasure to introduce to you two very special Westonians, Alan and Barbara Statz. Alan Statz graduated in 1956. After Westtown, Alan received a mechanical engineering degree from Lafayette College and his MBA from the University of Virginia Darden School of Business. The two of them have been incredibly warm, kind, and generous supporters of the school in every conceivable way. Alan always planned his class's reunions, and as we learned from his friends and family, he was all about the details. Alan and Barbara have had close relationships with their 4 scholarship recipients, meeting them on campus and attending their graduations whenever possible. Alan, our wonderful friend, passed away on January 7th, 2020, after a long illness. Alan often said that Westtown had a profound impact on him and made him the person that he was. To honor Alan's Westtown experience, he chose Westtown as a beneficiary of his estate. His tremendous gift is the largest in Westtown history. Alan's generous bequest will support the Westtown Fund, financial aid, capital projects, and the endowment. As Barbara has said, Alan is smiling down on us, knowing that this gift will bring joy to Westtown students and faculty. Thank you, Alan and Barbara, for the profound and lasting impact that you have had on the Westtown community. Alan was one of a kind, and we will miss him very much. Thank you.
My name is Casey and I am class of 2018. I was also a lucky recipient of the Statz Scholarship. So I was able to spend a lot of time and meet Barbara and Alan and hear about their history and their experience with Westtown. I heard a lot of crazy and fun stories about Alan's time at Westtown with his very close-knit class. And their generosity made Westtown so much more attainable and affordable for me. And I'm not sure I would have been able to explore all the things that I've explored and learned all the things that I've learned about myself without having Westtown be affordable. And I know that Alan's memory is going to live on with this generosity and the work he's continuing to do to make Westtown available to everybody and to change people's lives. So I'm just sending a lot of love and a lot of thanks to the Statz, and thank you so much.
Hi everybody, my name is Chris Wills and I am one of the co-chairs of Visual and Performing Arts at Westtown School. We are so grateful for this gift from Barbara and Alan as we think about the next phase of our work over here. We cannot wait just to see what's going to come for us next as we continue these renovations and think through the future at Westtown. Thank you, Barbara and Alan, from everyone here in Westtown's Arts Department. We are so grateful and excited for this gift and cannot wait to see what comes next.
Hello, I am Barbara Grimes Statz and pleased to share with you Alan Wallace Statz, A Life Well Lived, which are some memories of Alan's life that are testaments to his character, love of life, and dedication to family and friends. I miss Alan so much and am grateful I knew and loved him for 23 years of marriage, plus 30 years prior to our wedding. He was my best friend, a wonderful, loving husband and provider with kindness and generosity, a great sense of humor, and a love of travel fueled by curiosity. One of Alan's passions was to see the world. He said, "It's the travel bug, and the love of being with people. It's just in my blood." As a 14-year-old, he traveled by himself on a train from Philadelphia to Irvine Ranch in California for the National Boy Scout Jamboree. This experience, plus summers spent on a dude ranch in Estes Park, Colorado, ignited his passion for travel. Throughout Alan's 35-year career at Exxon International in global finance, sales, marketing, aviation, supply, and transportation, he continued to satisfy his travel bug in Europe, South America, Africa, Japan, and other Far East destinations. In his last few years, Alan encountered devastating health issues with the diagnosis in 2016 of systemic scleroderma, an autoimmune and vascular disease that involved his lungs, esophagus, and digestive system. In 2018, he required more oxygen and his activities were greatly limited. He was so excited he could ride his bike, albeit with oxygen, on the boardwalk in Long Branch, New Jersey. He said, "I must have looked strange." He was so strong, determined, and proud. Alan tried very hard to maintain an optimistic attitude and faced the scleroderma with dignity as a mysterious challenge that we could not conquer. Alan's life was filled with the glory of the ocean and the mountains, the glory of friendship and family. He was devastated when he realized he could never again travel to Estes Park or Ocean City, New Jersey for another of his wonderfully organized and detailed Wallace family reunions. We held a wonderful funeral service for Alan in Malvern, Pennsylvania, organized with the help of his sister Sarah, and attended by many Westtown school friends. Alan's friend Bob memorialized Alan, saying, "Alan enjoyed the big family reunions and was involved in the planning and details and more details. He just wanted to make sure everyone enjoyed themselves, and the reunion ran smoothly." Bob shared, "Alan will be missed in many ways by all of us, but for me, I'm going to miss my best friend." His nephew John shared, "Uncle Alan was an important part of my life. Alan was always concerned with the details. As a young child, the details of his stories made them come alive for me. Looking back, I now understand that Uncle Alan used the details to make big and important points. He used the details to demonstrate his love and loyalty, and he used the details to give life a rich and vibrant texture." I hope you have enjoyed getting to know Alan this evening.
Friends, this year would have been Alan Stat's 65th Westtown reunion. I know that his classmates are with us this evening and can attest to all that has been shared about their friend and classmate. The philanthropy of the entire class of 1956 is remarkable and has truly impacted each of us who teach, learn, live, and work at Westtown. The most recent gift from Alan and Barbara speaks volumes about their values and the depth of their understanding of the priorities of Westtown now and for the future. This gift will be used immediately to help Westtown live out our strategic vision. In honor of all that Barbara and Alan have contributed to Westtown, and as an acknowledgement of Alan's gift of hospitality, the Lane House near the lower school will soon become the Stats House, and it will welcome all visitors to campus, alums, parents, and friends. We have plans to stock the kitchen with Alan and Barbara's favorite snacks. Alan, we will miss you very much, and as Casey said, we will remember your kindness and all that you have done for Westtown. Barbara, you will always be a member of our Westtown community. Boundless thanks to both of you for your friendship and exemplary generosity.
Another wonderful performance. This one was by our current student, Milo Salvucci, from the class of 2023. Absolutely incredible. Thank you. With that final note of appreciation, I would like to call our meeting to a close. Please check your email for links and news about all the wonderful events happening from now until Sunday. There are 2 opportunities to join us for a virtual meeting for worship. One on Saturday with Pete Lane, class of 57 at 10 a.m., and another on Sunday at 10:30 a.m., hosted by the Westtown Monthly Meeting. Keep supporting and holding one another in the light. Enjoy the rest of Virtual Alums Weekend, and we look forward to seeing everyone on campus next year. Thank you all. Thanks for coming.